Cyclospora, a growing food safety threat, or not? The information I'm about to present is mostly sourced from a presentation by Michelle Daniluk, University of Florida, from a session titled Root Cause Analysis for Non-Cultivable Foodborne Pathogens at IAFP in 2024. And there are some other minor sources hyperlinked in the post as well. Cyclospora infection is a foodborne and waterborne illness caused by Cyclospora cayetanensis, a single-cell parasite, or technically a coccidian protozoan. In wealthy countries, it was rare until recently and only seen in people who had travelled to tropical developing countries where the parasite is endemic. However, since the 1990s, Cyclospora infections are now seen commonly in wealthy countries as well as in developing countries. Cyclospora infections take around 1 week to develop and cause symptoms, and the illness can last from a few days to more than a month. Symptoms include watery diarrhea, bloating, flatulence, burping, abdominal pain, cramps, nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite, body aches, fever, and fatigue. The most common food sources for Cyclospora infections are fresh produce, such as leafy greens, salad mixes, and fresh basil. In the United States, Cyclospora outbreaks were only linked to imported produce prior to 2018. However, since then, there's started to be many cases of Cyclospora in people who hadn't travelled internationally, and at least some of these cases were presumed to be from domestically grown food. I say presumed because Cyclospora can't be cultured in the laboratory and is not suitable for genetic subtyping, making it very difficult to link food samples and environmental samples with infected people. How does Cyclospora cause foodborne illness? Cyclospora is transmitted when infected human feces contaminate food or water. It is not transmitted directly from person to person because it's not infectious until 1 to 2 weeks after being passed in a bowel movement. The infectious agent is the oocyst of the parasite, that's a sort of egg, which is excreted in the feces of an infected person. The parasite forms the oocyst while living inside its human host. After leaving its host body, the oocyst sporulates, sort of hatches. The sporulated oocysts cause illness when ingested in food such as raw leafy greens or perhaps in contaminated water. Little is known about the biochemistry of Cyclospora oocysts or their sporulation process. It's not even known whether they sporulate while on food crops or elsewhere, such as in soil or water. Nor is it known how many oocysts survive in the environment, how long they survive on crops, whether they are killed by solar radiation, or how easy it is for them to cross-contaminate from soil or water onto food. It's also not known whether they can be physically removed from food plants such as leafy greens. Fortunately, though, thorough cooking does inactivate Cyclospora oocysts. It's thought that Cyclospora or oocysts get onto food plants such as leafy greens through direct contact with contaminated hands, such as from farm workers, or from contact between contaminated irrigation water and crops. However, the transmission process from irrigation water to crops is unknown. Irrigation water cannot easily be monitored for the presence of Cyclospora oocysts because they're very difficult to detect in water, and the methods used for recovering oocysts from environmental samples is often questioned, with a lack of consensus in the science community around the methodology. Agricultural water treatment chemicals in common use have limited efficacy against Cyclospora. How big is Cyclospora as a food safety problem? We don't have a lot of data about how many people have Cyclospora or how many oocysts people shed when infected. We also don't know what the infectious dose is for Cyclospora. This makes it difficult to understand how much of a risk it poses within food supply chains. However, case numbers in the United States appear to be on the rise, with some scientists now considering it endemic in the US. Other scientists suggest that the increased effectiveness of clinical tests may be the reason for the sudden apparent increase in domestically acquired cases in wealthy countries. Controls for Cyclospora. Some experts suggest we could solve the problem of Cyclospora by eliminating it entirely from the population, while others say we should prevent its spread using food safety controls. Unfortunately, once the oocysts get onto food, it's difficult to know whether they are present due to a lack of easy detection methods. And as mentioned previously, there are no known ways for removing them from food that is intended to be eaten raw. Because it cannot grow or replicate outside the human body, prevention of Cyclospora must focus on keeping human feces away from food and water. As Dr. Danny Lux said of finding the source of contamination in Cyclospora outbreaks, the key is to focus on the poop. And the source for almost everything I just said is a presentation by Michelle Danny-Luc of the University of Florida from a session titled Root Cause Analysis for Non-Cultivable Foodborne Pathogens at the IAFP annual meeting in 2024. And by the way, if you're loving what I do, please do tell your friends about it, because more people who know about it, the more that I can keep doing this independent ad-free content for you.